I'm not seeing a big difference between the fall-off distance of 200 and the fall-off distance of 400, so I'm going to bring it back to 200 just so we're not affecting that much of the surrounding terrain. Keep it like that, and then we're going to go back over here to our landing area and see if anything changed. And nothing changed. Alright, so at this point, I tell you what we're going to do. I've been at this for an hour. Over an hour now. I'm going to take a little bit of a break and try to think this through. And I'm going to play around with it a little bit off of camera and see what I can figure out. What's going on, guys? Rodent44 back with you again. After a 9-month hiatus, we are back on the Let's Build series, finishing off the North River Camp. Now, I started this video back on October 23rd of 2021, ran into a bunch of elevation related issues and was never able to finish the scenery. So today, with things finally being somewhat back to normal with the elevations, we're taking a look at the scenery again. We're going to finish this one off, so let's get on the ground and let's get the build. Hopefully today, a little bit of a rough landing there. Hopefully today we can make some magic happen here. Now I'm spotting all kinds of terrain issues along the shorelines. Get rid of those flaps. Got some raised shorelines over there. Got some raised water back behind us. But I am hoping that I can turn this into a little bit of a campsite. And as you can see, there's almost a perfect runway here where we've landed at, where it's, you know, a nice clean gravel area, and there's quite a bit of usable runway, which means quite a few different aircraft can get in here, including up to probably some twins. I know the Baron can definitely do it because I have landed the Baron out here. But as far as for where we're going to put the campsite at, well, we got this area of really white ground over here, and I think that is going to be the perfect spot for it. So I tell you what, let's taxi the airplane down a little bit here. Let's find a good parking spot, and we'll hop out and we'll see what we can come up with. Look at that. That was a nice little scroll out. I love that mouse wheel. But you will notice that there's already been a significant amount of work done in this area. And that is because, as I believe I mentioned in the beginning of this video, depending on if I cut that out or not, I started this project quite a while back, last year. Did quite a bit of work on it. And then when I got down to basically doing the campsite, I found out that there's a huge elevation change that ran right here across the tip of what would be the runway. So yeah, at the time, I completely scrapped the project. But I'm not seeing a huge change in elevation there. Now there is, if we go down the ground level here, there is a noticeable step up right there. But I think we can terraform that and get that smoothed out. And over here, there is a big leftover from where the river was once really messed up. So let's start by just... Come on, keyboard. Light up, keyboard. Let's start by getting rid of that. Alright, that is already so much better. So I think the main goal here is... I'm just going to take a little bit of a polishing pass over my work here, try to get an understanding of what I did, if I need to remove anything, and it's looking like all this is just water excludes and then vegetation. I think for the most part, here's one here. Yeah, see, we'll get rid of all the terraforming that I put down, because all that is just going to be junk now. And let's go over here to the window off screen, which you can't see. Let's save first, and we're going to say Rectangle. Yeah, we can delete that group. Polygons. Let's hide that so we can see a little bit better here what the terrain looks like. And yeah, it doesn't look half bad here. It's definitely not as jacked up as it was before, which is making me feel pretty good about this area. Obviously, there's some areas of raised terrain here, but you know what? What I care most about is the runway. Where the runway's going to be at. So let's get all, so let's get panned on over there. And I believe right out here in front. Yes. So you can see this very defined area that cuts in behind the scrub brush here is going to be where our runway is located. Now obviously there's plenty of runway there before you reach the water over here, which I guess I didn't put any water down there. I'll make sure to put some water down in these areas just to make them obstacles. I'm not going to put any water down right here, I do not believe. We'll just leave that as is. I'm not thinking it's going to show right. And then obviously over here, I want to do something about this terrain. And maybe even something about those water walls over here. But the water walls are going to be probably the last thing I tackle. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to tackle all of them on video because it's a very long and drawn out process to get rid of these walls. Because I want to maintain the curvature, but in order to do that, I have to use polygons for terraforming, which means I have to make very short areas. And you know what? I just realized something. You cannot see my mouse, so you can't even see what I'm doing. There, now you can see what I'm pointing at. Now, as I was saying, basically just have really short areas of polygons that follow this terrain. And the reason I do that is because I gotta make, when I put the polygon down, it's going to be an even altitude all the way across the polygon, or in the entire area of the polygon. So if there's any bit of sloping or anything, I need to make sure I make those changes as minimal as possible along that slope to make it look natural, which can get pretty drawn out depending on how big of an area you have to tackle, which this is quite a sizable area. So yeah, I'm assuming it's going to take more time than I probably want to put into this video. Anyways, enough jib-jab. Let's get over here to the island. Let's take a look at the campsite. And first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to get rid of this hill right here. And I'm thinking, let's think this over here for a sec.
A few moments later.
Alright, so a little bit of a jump in elevation there. And we're going to turn that baby back on, throw that in there, and then hide it again. Alright, so terrain looks good. I'm going to call it good on the terraforming. Let's get into a little bit more of the meat and potatoes of this. Now, I think what I want to do here is we have all this scrub. So let's take care of the scrub here. Let's put this water in back here. So let's say, I guess we'll unhide the polygons again. Get that mess on screen. Let's see what we got. All of our polygons, because of what the old elevation in this area was, are all underneath the ground. So yeah, they're not going to show up. They are going to show up correctly. Visually, the polygon is not going to show up correctly in developer mode. But let's go ahead and get a little bit of water in right here. I do not know how accurate this is going to be, but I'm going to try to be fairly accurate here. Water placement, I should say, in msfs is only so accurate. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to be extremely accurate, just because, yeah, it's only going to be so accurate. So let's say, we'll say water. We'll just say type water. And let's have a look. Yeah, there's a subtle amount of water there, which is good. I mean, this isn't a deep area or anything, so Ideally, we just kind of want the sunlight to be able to reflect off of it, or refract off of it. And then we got all this runoff here behind, or that runs in between the trees. Originally, I think I thought this was grass. Obviously, looking at it now, it is clearly water. So I think starting from like right back here by these trees, I think I'm going to put another water polygon in here. So we're just going to run it from that corner right there. Run her along the gravel here, up the side. And yeah, we'll just run her about right there. Doesn't need to be perfect. And you know what, we'll call that good. Just like that. And we'll say water type water. Boom. There we go. Alright. Hit the save button again. I'm very adamant about not losing any of my work. And that is probably one of my biggest pet peeves, is redoing something that I have already done. Alright, let's take a look here. So I got, if we can select the polygon, there we go. Type vegetation. And you know what? We're going to delete that. We're just going to do this over, because I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. Because we're just going to tackle this a little bit differently, and it's not that much to change, we're just going to delete that polygon. We're going to take that there. And the idea here is I want this to only be bushes, so I'm going to say vegetation, which is going to turn it into trees initially, trees and bushes. But then I'm going to say select biome override. And let's see what is on the list. I think, is it scrub instead of trees? Yeah, scrub instead of trees, which is going to get rid of all the tall trees. And then I want this vegetation to be fairly small in size, but some of it's going to be a little bit bigger, right? So I think I'm going to go down a little bit on this, something like that. We're going to copy the properties on this, select polygon again, and then we're going to do the same thing for a couple of these areas right here. And the main goal here is to just have some different sized bushes in this area, so it's not all uniform. And we're going to go back here. Let's get rid of this point right here. I did not mean to place that. We'll delete him, and we'll say paste properties, so it's going to take on the same properties of this polygon over here. And we're just going to do that for the rest of this area. But then we're going to start getting a little bit smaller in the bushes. So some of these smaller areas here, we're just going to drop the bush size down, or the vegetation size down as small as we can. And we'll start tackling that, tackling some of this back here as well. And now the fun part, we can start building our campsite. And yeah, I kind of blocked our plane in over here a little bit with some bushes, but oh well. It's a campsite. Parking is not reserved. Let's go ahead and get some tents situated here. Now, as I said before, I think this bare area here, I want to kind of be the central campsite. So maybe we'll do like a fire here, and we'll do some tents around it. So maybe before we put the tents down, let's maybe do the fire. Okay, there we go. Now we got our campfire. So let's say we're just going to eyeball this. And let's put the campfire right there. Now this is a brand new campfire model. Well, I should say quote unquote brand new campfire model. Since the last Let's Build episode, this has been overhauled quite a bit. It is now a sim object, which means under a certain temperature, this fire will be burning. What is this? That is a huge tent. I know exactly where that's from too. All these mountain tents are part of the default object library, so we can use some of these if we'd like. So actually, I think I will. I think I'll use some of these default tents just because using my tents all over the place can get boring after a while. And I have no idea what this thing is doing, but it's acting very weird as I drag it around. So yeah, let's stick like maybe a tent right here. Let's see what else we got here. Got this yellow tent. So we'll put it let's put it like over there. Where is the door? I think that's the door. We can always fine-tune the rotation of these later. Rotation and position, matter of fact. That is a huge tent. We're not going to use that. We want camping size tents only. And we'll put one more over there. And performance has already slowed down to a crawl. We're at a steady 13-14 FPS. Excellent for development. Very precise. I say that with a lot of sarcasm. And we're just going to tweak positioning of a couple of these. Move them in maybe a little bit closer. Don't want them to get too close to the campfire, but yeah, I kind of like that with a slight rotation. Put that one there. And let's move this one a little closer. We'll move this one over here. So there we go. We got 3 tents stacked up here. We got the campfire. And let's hop back over to my object library. So EFL. Object libraries. I wonder how, I got this folding chair. I wonder how it's going to look here. This is a little dressed up for what you might find at a campsite. Typically you'd have some sort of mesh chair. But, you know what? Maybe somebody likes the finer things in life and brought this little mini wood chair along in the back of one of their planes. So maybe we'll try out the mini wood chair here today. What I need to do is I need to get some of those plastic lawn chairs. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about, and if you don't, well, yeah, don't know what to tell you. Just a couple fish in the bucket. Nothing to worry about. Definitely not going to attract any bears. Maybe they should have something to worry about. Maybe not immediately, but maybe in the future there will be something to worry about. Alright, I think I have all the clutter I want to place here, so for the next step, let's go ahead and place some people. So let's liven this area up a little bit, shall we? So let her sit on the log there. And let's see here, what else we got? What else do we have? We don't want anybody too dressy. We'll put him there. He's kind of dressed up, but he kind of, I don't know. You could wear this stuff in the outdoors. I'd wear that stuff in the outdoors. So let's point them over there. Make them meet gaze like they're having a conversation. Let's do a little bit of a seating check on her. Actually, sitting on the log pretty well. I don't think I'm going to have to make any adjustments there. So let's see, what else we got here? I don't know if I can find anybody small enough to sit in that little wooden chair. This guy may do it. This guy may fit in the chair. That actually works fairly well. He looks like he's very uncomfortable. The chair looks like it's fairly uncomfortable. So it looks like it's a match. Alright, and the real question is do I put a fourth person here? Or would that be weird? Are any of these tents two-person tents? I guess this red one's a two-person tent, ain't it? You know what? We're going to keep them... We're no doubling up on this trip. Everybody gets their own tent. We're only going to place 3 people. I don't want to crowd it out any more than I have to. So yeah, I think I'm going to call that good. I think I like this. Nice little simple campsite. Now the real question is do I want to do anything with the runway? Or do I just want to kind of leave that natural? And you know what? I'm really thinking that I want to leave it kind of natural. I don't think I'm going to put any cones out. I tried that at the other campsite, and you can't see the cones until you're right on top of them, so they pretty much serve no purpose whatsoever as far as laying out the landing zone. So yeah, I think we're going to keep it the way it is. So we got one person, or 2 people that came in onto canoe, and maybe 1 person that came in on airplane. So let's place 1 airplane out here. So let's go to Sim Objects. Let's find ourselves an airplane. I'm trying to think of what to place. You know what? Maybe. I know this wouldn't really fit the winter aesthetic if you came out here during the winter. But what if we did a 172 on floats? So all the aircraft we've used previously have been bush aircraft. Either on tundra tires or some sort of tail dragger. But what if we actually got a 172 out here? That is, if the 172 will ever appear. Okay, so scratch that plan. I can't even get a float version of the 172 to spawn. So, we're going to go with plan B. We are just going to place a 172 model here. So we'll place that over there. Now, the only thing I'm not too fond of on this model is it's an AI model, and it's got the jacked up prop on it, where they have failed to put a visibility condition on their prop blur. So it's got the prop blur kind of just baked in. But, you know what? Is what it is. I'm not going to be too picky. It's a freaking scenery. Eventually, maybe they'll fix that. But, as I said, not my first choice, but it's the choice I have. And I don't feel like placing another tail dragger out here. I feel like I've used plenty of cubs and stuff already. So, yeah, we'll go with the 172 on this one. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below so I know that you did like the video, and also consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this, or possibly different content in the future. Who knows where it will go. As always guys, have a great rest of your day. Rodent 44, over and out.